because I always feel like your network is your net worth. Like you are able to grow your career based on how many people know you and how well you're known for in terms of a certain vertical or an expertise.
Hello, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us today. I am your host, David Block, and today I am happy to welcome a senior creative producer with Adobe and the co-founder of the typography training program, TypeEd, Rachel Elnar. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. No problem. No problem. This show is basically an opportunity for us to sort of dive into your background and learn a little bit about your career and the journey that you've been on. And what I like to do is go back as far as I can and start back with your education. But before I get to that, I actually like to ask you a question. I'd like you to add to, if you could, for those who may not be familiar with your position, how would you define the role of a senior creative producer?
Wow, that is very difficult to answer. But a senior creative producer is someone who basically gets it all done. I work with Adobe. I host and run the B2B creative product group webinars and shows for the company. So I am on the front lines with the customers, helping to teach them and give them learning opportunities, and also provide them a place to have their own community, to talk to each other, to talk to Adobe, to discuss not only software, but also leadership topics about creativity and development and design. And so I pretty much do all that, which is why I'm a senior creative producer.
Got it. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Now, jumping back to my question about your education, I'd like to know first of all, you began your educational journey back in 1989 with Cal Poly Pomona. You got your BA in Fine Arts, right? Then in 95, you went to get your MFA from Cal State Fullerton in drawing and painting, interactive art, and video installation. And after that, you took some continuing education courses. You went for a couple of years at Art Center, College of Design. And I'd like to know, looking back at that time in your life, your educational journey, what were some of your biggest takeaways that you have integrated into your current routine?
Oh, okay. Being scatterbrained would be number one. Starting and drawing and painting and just being all over the place, I think is something that I'm very good at. I have not only education in a lot of creative and arts, but also I was holding positions in hospitality, working at hotels, working in restaurants. I was, whatever sparked my fancy, that's what I was basically doing a little bit of teaching at the local art school as well. Did some management. So I was a lead server for like 10 years. In my education, I really explored. So I was in fine arts, but I also went over to the graphic design department a lot and played with gouache and and played with mechanicals and learned graphic design that way. When I did my MFA, I really got into drawing and painting, but then I really loved the digital component, started doing HTML, started playing with interaction, got into interactive installation as well. So I just was super, super curious and became a little bit scatterbrained. But all of that has culminated into like what I do today. So lucky for me, there's value in everything, no matter where you explore.
Right, right. Absolutely. I did the same kind of thing in college. I actually took the opportunity to, whenever I had a chance to learn something new, I would jump on that. And so you mentioned a little bit about teaching as well. And so you have been involved in teaching in a couple of institutions. 2012, you worked at Cal State Los Angeles teaching digital media and interaction, right? And interaction design, forgive me. In 2018, you taught graphic design with LCAD, the Laguna College of Art and Design. That's awesome. What a great college. And how has your role as an educator sort of influenced your your approach to design and typography?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess I can quantify it like this. I don't speak a second language, but when you do speak a second language, it's really hard to teach because you don't know why you do things, right? It's usually like second nature. And so, even though I've been doing art and creativity and design for a very long time, when I got into teaching is when I really understood like, this is why I do things. You start to do more research and try to figure out why behind everything, not only for the students, but also for yourself, for your whole curriculum. And so having that teaching experience helped my education. Having that education also helped my teaching. So I think they really go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Yeah. I find that too as an educator. So you have more questions coming at you than just those that are going on in your head. So you have to go and figure that stuff out. So yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
If you're enjoying this video, please take a moment to hit that like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our future videos. Thank you. And do you still teach?
I do, in a way. I teach at Adobe, so I feel in a way that I do represent the voice of the customer, represent the voice of the student, and I'm always trying to find out more and try to help them gain access to resources. So I'm not teaching formally in a classroom anymore as of like 7 years ago, but I feel like I do it more to scale with the webinars and the digital events that I do at Adobe.
I see. So I'm curious, if you don't mind my asking, what was it that made you want to jump back into the industry?
I don't think I've ever left one or the other. I always have one foot in and one foot out, honestly. I mean, not out. One foot in industry, one foot in education. When I was running Ramp Creative, I was teaching. And when I was teaching, I was always, producing or doing freelance or whatnot. I feel like they really feed each other. It's hard to really just do industry and not do just education. And so I don't think there was necessarily an impetus. I think that I just need to have both feed each other in order to keep my brain, inspired.
I see. Okay, excellent. And now you talked about Ramp Creative a little bit, and I would like to actually let's dive into that. Now you started that back around 2002-ish, right? The turn of the century.
Yes.
and and so I'm curious what inspired you to start your own design studio, and what were some of those original challenges that you faced?
So I was doing freelance. I had my own studio called Karma Design Studio all by myself for a while. And then we started Ramp because my co-founder, Michael, had asked me, basically. We worked on a couple projects together. I was brought into his studio where he was an art director to help them. They were doing a lot of annual reports and a lot of print work, a lot of branding, and they didn't do what was called the new website design. And so I came in to help them with their website design and also just train their employees how to do interactive stuff. So through working with Michael, we decided why not just do this on our own, that I would take care of the interaction design side and he would take care of the print and the branding design side, and therefore Ramp Creative.
Nice. Excellent. Okay. And so could you talk about one or two of your favorite projects from that time?
Oh, I could talk about quite a few of my favorite projects at the time.
That would be great.
We were in operation for over 18 years. I love all the branding stuff, so I brought a couple things just to show you guys. Some of the branding stuff is great. My favorite things are all about systems. So this is a identity system for New Hat. They are a color grading company in Los Angeles. I don't know if they exist anymore, but the fact that there's different colors for each piece. I'm not going to pull them out because I have more to show you. And then also like Koakea, it is a hotel in Kauai. Again, a lot of playing with like textures and design, textures and colors and different types of paper. I really, really love all the print stuff. One of my more favorite pieces is Augustoni. And the reason why I'm showing you folders is because we have done the whole branding system. And so for this, Augustoni was an Italian company called Ecam. They actually do all the organic chocolate for Green and Blacks, all the organic chocolate for Godiva. So they are like a white label company that produces organic chocolate for many major chocolate companies. And so we thought Ecam, which is an acronym in Italian, means nothing. So we used the family name called Agostoni. And so we did all their branding and sales sheets and whatnot.
That's beautiful.
A lot of packaging, food service, 40-pound bags of chocolate,
Wow.
5 pounds bags of chocolate. It's just fun to really design a whole family of not only SKUs of flavors, and really just try to figure out what their whole brand architecture looks like. But probably one of my favorite projects is CWS Capital. They are a real estate investment company, and we began with them doing an annual report. And so I love annual reports. I do a lot of video work, honestly, but Michael does annual reports, and annual reports are all about stories. If you don't know what an annual report is, a lot of people don't know what annual reports are, but they're basically sort of they were an SEC document that you had to file with the SEC that basically just gave your financials. But every year there's a new story to tell. And so when we started with this company, we had this small 6x9 book, to talk about their company, and very, very well, but somewhat corporately done. And we stayed on with them for over 10 years. So we have so many stories to tell every year. One being, they decided preparedness. They were all about preparedness. So we created this very like Boy Scouts look to all their properties. We did one called Circulation, and this was all about circulate, and everything has this money look, this currency look, even down to the CD in the back that was like a penny. So there's it's fun to tell stories, but it's also fun to work with a client over time, so you can help to define not only their messaging but their marketing long term. I mean, it really creates that nice relationship.
Right. Absolutely. Those are beautiful. Fantastic. So, and thank you for sharing that with me. And I would like to, moving from Ramp Creative to Adobe, that transition, it must have been a pretty significant transition going from Ramp to Adobe. And I'd like to know if you could talk about that transition and give sort of an overview of your day-to-day duties at Adobe.
Well, this is going to be a long story. So we go from Ramp, and actually the transition between Ramp and Adobe, the thing that's missing is really Type Ed. So Type Ed was derived or was made from Ramp Creative. Ramp Creative, we were around for 18 years. We had lots of designers come in and out who were hired to help us. And one thing we realized when they were coming from school or when they're coming in is like, they don't know typography. Like, what's happening? At the beginning, everyone had an idea of what a baseline was. I mean, they really knew their type. And as years went on, we realized they don't know typography at all, especially when you go into, user experience. Like, people who are designing websites, they didn't know type much at all. So we started to teach them. And then I brought some of that teaching into my classroom at Cal State LA. And then I realized, wait, we're only teaching those who we know. So why don't we just open this up? So we opened it up. We started teaching classes around the country. And I got to work with Living Spaces and Disney. We went into Facebook. We went into some large companies to train their teams. And I got to work with those teams. And I learned what their challenges were in terms of having a voice. A lot of designers come to the table at the very end of the table, at the very end of the process, right? They don't get a voice. So when they have something to change, it's like, oh no, that's marketing already approved it or whatnot. So we also help designers have that voice and to say why it's important. It's because it's for the reader. Like, there might be reasons. Yeah, you might like the green, but there could be readability problems. Have you thought about your older customers? Have you thought about, the way that this is closing in when people are reading menus in the dark? There are a lot of things that other people are not thinking about when it comes to typography, and it helped to give designers a voice. Now, transitioning to Adobe.
Right.
My day-to-day at Adobe is thinking about the curriculum. What type of programs would really help our customers, Adobe's customers, and what type of things are they challenged with? Well, I brought in a lot of my learnings from TypeEd in terms of working with these small teams, these accounts, these larger enterprises, and it really helped me to build out this virtual program at Adobe. So my day-to-day is basically I manage a team of 7. We do full production. We are planning 18 to 19 shows a quarter, which is a lot for me. We work with multiple stakeholders. We are sending emails out to anywhere from 70,000 to 3 million people for each show. It is a lot. We want to just make sure that we have the voice, they have their voice, and that designers are being listened to and being addressed in terms of developing this curriculum.
Outstanding. That's fantastic. I honestly, I was going to talk about TypeEd next. We're going to get right to that. And actually, since we're talking about that, well, before we get to that, I do have another question about Adobe. You've led some innovative projects like transitioning the Creative Jam program to a virtual format. And I'd like to know if you could talk about that particular process, if that's worth discussing, and what were some of those obstacles that you've come up against?
Well, Creative Jam as a program was an in-person program, and it was run by Adobe. Maybe you've been to one. They were held all across the country at different design conferences, and they would just pop up, and it would be basically a party. So they would spring for all this alcohol, they would spring for all this food. It would have a DJ, there would be games to play and whatnot. And 30 people, maybe 30 or 40 people would be hands-on with the software, and they would be developing a project. So while these teams are developing a project, there was a party going around them. So my remit was to, how do we make this virtual? Well, I couldn't bring the carnival along. Obviously, it was a 6 to 8 hour event, and there's just no way we could do that virtually. No one will sit there and watch for 8 hours. But I did take the core of the program, which is basically teams who are competing against each other, building out a project, and getting prizes for their work. And so with that, I was able to make that into a virtual program by having people sign up in teams to join us. We would give the challenge, they would go away, they would work on their project. We would choose the top 10. The top 10 come back, they present their work, and then we would award prizes. And that was very well done virtually and saved a lot of money because there was no food or alcohol or any of that extraneous stuff. And it was also way more inclusive. So it wasn't just the 30 people who were in New Orleans or in Los Angeles or whatnot. People were joining us from all over the world with different levels of ability. And so I love the teams that had people on the East Coast, on the West Coast, in India, in Spain. It was really great to see that community come together.
Oh, excellent, excellent. That is fantastic. Now, and comparing the face-to-face in person versus virtual, so it allowed you to sort of expand your market essentially, right? With that.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Immensely. That's fantastic. Okay. Community building is a significant part of your career. What advice would you give to young designers about the importance of community and how to, engage effectively in a community?
So hard for young designers. I don't know about you, David, but if you bring your students to any AIGA or industry events, they like to stand off in the corner and kind of just talk to themselves. Totally safe, totally cool to do. but I usually go in and break them up and go talk to each other or go talk to other people. Um, the advice I would give to young designers is to really keep an eye out for who your heroes are. Tough to do now with social media and so many channels. Back then, we only had design annuals and there was only one place to look, but now there are many places to look. But must definitely, figure out who your design heroes are, why, reach out to them. I mean, you can definitely do this virtually as well. Go on LinkedIn, reach out, tell them why you like them or what you loved about their talk or what you enjoyed about their book. They love to hear that. They love to hear that from you. And it's it's a beginning place to start and will help you build your career, because I always feel like your network is your net worth. Like, you are able to grow your career based on how many people know you and how well you're known for in terms of a certain vertical or an expertise.
Right. Excellent. Fantastic. And on that note, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for being a part of the show. That brings us right to the end of the program. So thank you for being here today. It's been great to get to know you and to learn about your career path.
Thanks, David. I really appreciate that.